Number one, be specific about what you are going to be known for and kind of your area of specialization. So clarify your area of expertise as a thought leader and then stick to it. So there's a temptation right now to kind of talk about a lot of different things, especially on social media. You want it to kind of be a well-rounded picture of all of your interests and all of the things that you know about. But what I found to be most effective is when you really hone in on one specific thing that you're going to be known for. So you tweet about those things, you write blog posts about those things, maybe you have a podcast, maybe you have a YouTube show. It's all tied back to a core theme though. And the reason you want to do that is because it makes your name, face, and what you're known for more sticky. So my husband always says this thing to me, you have to say it to me 13 or 14 times before it's going to stick. And when I worked in public relations, that was also true. A guy at a radio station who was helping me kind of get onboarded when I was new to doing radio shows was, his piece of advice was, remember, people don't remember things. So you have to tell them what you said, tell them again, and then at the end, recap what you just told them. And that's kind of the same mentality with building thought leadership is you don't want to beat people over the head with it, but you really need to drive home over and over and over again who you are and what you're known for and kind of your area of expertise. And the more you do that with time, people will begin to remember. It takes some time because things just aren't that sticky in our brains. I would also say keep learning about your industry. So be a voracious reader. Stay up on the news, especially within your space. Follow smart people who are talking about similar topics, whether that's on social media, whether that's newsletters, again, YouTube channels, podcasts. See what they're talking about. Make notes. Maybe you have a running doc on your computer or in your notes app on your phone. What are some of the common themes and trends that you are hearing people talk about? And then what new dots can you connect that'll kind of help you position yourself as that thought leader who's, again, synthesizing and curating that information for the audience. It's important to do this consistently. It's not something that you can stop and start just when you feel like it. If you really want to do this well, you kind of have to make it a daily practice, even on the weekends, because things move quickly and the news cycle never stops these days and you don't want to miss something. So if you are focused on being known as a go-to person, and especially within the software space, the B2B space, things move fast. So make sure that you are staying up on those things and you're checking in on social media and you're seeing what the conversation is focused on, and you're just kind of aware, you're in the know of what's happening in your space. I would also say be sure to observe and collect information from a number of sources. So any good journalist would tell you that you can't just lean on one source for your information, right? You need to fact check, you need to get some data points, you need research, studies to validate any type of claims that you're making, and that's the same type of approach you should take here. So if you're going to be connecting the dots for people, you kind of need to have the full picture, the well-rounded picture of the whole issue at hand, not just one person's opinion. Yes, you can add your own opinion as your form of thought leadership, but you want to have the full picture as you go into that conversation and you kind of make your case. So it's kind of helpful to think of it as if you were on debate team. How would you make your argument? How would you make your case for whatever it is that you are speaking about or writing about? So you need to be able to do that well. You have to really know what's happening as a whole within your space. And when you do that, that's when you can start to synthesize and speculate on maybe what's going to happen in the future, or what's going to happen down the road, or even what's going to happen tomorrow. So connect the dots for people. And when you do that, that's when you can start to make an informed guess or forecast. You can start to identify upcoming shifts in maybe consumer behavior or audience behaviors, whatever it might be. Once you have that full picture, that's when you can kind of think forward and project into the future with an educated guess, right? We can't see the future. I wish we could, but often thought leaders are the ones who are making those predictions and putting a stake in the ground and saying, this is what I think is going to happen down the road. Here's where I think we're headed, etc. Things like that. I think consistency is also really, really important. So create and publish content often. And give people a way to opt in to get that content on a regular basis. So Social media is great, but it's often very fleeting. Follows on social media are helpful, but again, it's a really big competition for attention there. And those attention spans are getting shorter and shorter. And again, that's somebody else's sandbox. So a newsletter, a podcast, a YouTube channel, video series, whatever it might be, give people a way to hear from you on a regular basis through some sort of subscription. Oftentimes you're going to start with the free model just to get people on board, and we'll talk about maybe monetizing that a little bit down the road. But I think the first step is to just establish a regular and realistic cadence. So for example, I have been sending out a newsletter for my own business on freelance writing for over 6 years now, and a realistic cadence for me was every other Wednesday. That's what I can manage as far as maintaining quality and having something useful to say as far as thought leadership goes on a recurring basis. A lot of people like to do daily, like you think of like a Casey Neistat who was putting out daily YouTube videos. That is a major grind and takes a major level of focus and commitment and bandwidth. Some people like to do it weekly. The cadence is really up to you, but I would say start small and scale up from there, because the last thing you want to do is try and overcommit and then end up being inconsistent, and that kind of is a poor reflection of you as a creator or as an authority figure. So again, start slow and scale up from there and keep at it. Be consistent. Don't give up if you're not seeing results after a week or even a month. This is a long game. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, unfortunately. The other things to keep in mind, things like do something unique. What can you do that's going to be uniquely individualized to you? Maybe that means making your own visuals or graphics, or sprinkling in your unique sense of humor, using memes, adding strong opinions, taking a stance, doing things like challenging the status quo and not being afraid to have a point of view that goes against maybe what average people or a lot of people in your space think. If you are going to take that contrarian stance, caveat here is you want to be able to back it up. Are you being a contrarian just for contrarian's sake? Or do you have some real data, some real research that backs up why you think what you do that goes against the status quo? Again, debate team style. You want to back this up. You want to have some concrete facts, data points, information, sources that help validate the claims that you're making so that people have a reason to trust you as an authority. You don't want to be just spewing things for the sake of spewing them. Also, show people that you're a regular person who doesn't want anything from them other than to provide value, to do something you enjoy. And yes, that sometimes means making a case for self-promotion, having sponsorships that help you monetize these efforts. But I think it's important to just drive home that you're a human being just trying to make this happen. And you don't have to be selling something all the time. You don't have to be banging people over the head with opportunities to buy from you. But when you're starting out, you really want to just make a case for consistency, quality, and interest based to get them on board. And then down the road, that's when you can start thinking about how can I leverage this in different ways.